I am Aubrey Zobrist, and I'm the product manager for Tacony Sewing Central. I'm responsible for bringing Tacony Sewing Central the latest and the greatest in new products. There's a lot of cutting vehicles out there, but Silhouette was the first to really bring attention to the SVG file and what it can do for you in terms of applique and how well it plays with the machines and being able to transfer your files so you can cut it out on your Silhouette and then stitch it on your baby lock sewing machine. Put down your scissors, because anything and everything that you want to cut you can do on this machine. You have so much more mobility in terms of what you can cut when you use the software. Sizing, the duplication. There's like a Silhouette club in our office. Because we're an office full of sewers, quilters, embroiderers, I've seen them use it for cutting out vinyl and doing more crafting and decorating, and no matter what the media is, people are just using it to cut out anything and everything that they can. The Silhouette Cameo will replace the scissors in your sewing room.
My name is Jeff Smithers. I work with Checker Distributors as a notions buyer for about 4 years now. We first heard about the Silhouette cutting machine. It was Portland Spring Market. It's a tremendous tool for cutting shapes and creating, bringing your ideas out and cutting them out effortlessly and quickly. Its impact is biggest in the world of applique, first of all, and it's time saving and the versatility of the machine. Time saving in that while the machine's cutting out your shapes, you can go work on the next stage of your project instead of cutting out all the applique shapes by hand and taking all the time it took to do that. In terms of versatility, now the user has the ability to access Silhouette's large database of shapes that they can use. They're no longer, users aren't constricted to a limited number of shapes, but it's endless with Silhouette's database. But also the designer software lets the creative types at heart kind of bring their ideas to fruition quickly and easily.
My name is Kim Christofferson, and I'm the owner and designer behind Kimberbell Designs. I love applique. I love sewing applique with fusible web, and I also love machine embroidery applique. And it wasn't until about 1.5 years ago that I learned that the Silhouette could also cut fabric, so I was very intrigued and called them and wanted to find out more, because I knew that if I could incorporate the Silhouette with the SVG files with machine embroidery, it would be a win-win for both of us. Well, the Silhouette's going to make your life a whole lot easier with applique. In traditional applique, there's a lot of tracing, cutting, fusing, cutting again, and then some. And so by putting my stuff into the Silhouette, I only need to cut it once, and then I'm ready to applicate it directly onto my project. For example, here's a mug rug CD, and with the spider, I've got a whole lot of legs going on and one big piece and for the body and small eyes. That would be very tedious to cut. By using the Silhouette Cameo, I know I'm going to get the perfect cut every time. It's going to be placed in the correct position, and I've got the perfect looking applique piece and half the work.
I'm Vanessa Fromm. My company is Fabric Confetti, and I do embroidery applique, and I use the Silhouette for absolutely everything. It cuts the chalkboard fabric like butter. My patterns have lots of pieces, and I think it genuinely sells my patterns. People don't have to think, oh my God, I got to cut out all these different pieces. We gang everything up, and it's like a dream. Because you can cut out the pieces like 2 or 3 times, you can play around with different colors. If you spend all the time cutting out by hand, you're not going to necessarily audition colors as easy. So if you only have the weekend to work, if you work during the week and only have the weekend, it's going to be minutes to cut your pieces out, and then you can go straight to quilting.
I'm Laurel Anderson, and I teach applique. The most fun feature of the Silhouette is it can cut things I would never dream of cutting with scissors, like doilies. It can cut things that are repetitious shapes that drive me nuts when I try to cut them, like flower blossoms. One of the things I like the most about the Silhouette is it will cut my shapes. I can ink shapes, scan them in, I can draw them in Silhouette, I can draw them in Adobe Illustrator, I can draw them in Corel Draw. All of the programs I know for designing fabric and designing patterns, it will accept those files in certain forms and trace them and cut them in the size I want. This quilt is called French Doors, and it's designed to look like a spring day. All the files here for the applique shapes are able to be cut with the Silhouette, and it's very quick, it's very easy. and it looks like you absolutely slaved over it.
I'm Linda White. I'm a territory sales manager for Brewer. I first heard about the silhouette when we decided to carry it, so I quickly went online and decided it was a product that I really needed to have in my studio. I would say to anyone who was even the slightest bit creative that they ought to have at least one silhouette cameo in their studio or in their workroom. It is very beneficial if you're doing multiple pieces. For applique, I'm going to do something with one of our designers that I wouldn't have done before because I wasn't going to cut out 80 berries and 120 leaves. And my silhouette cameo cut it out for me in about an hour and a half, and they're accurately done. And of course the silhouette cameo has its own software so you can design your own. It opens up a whole new creative world for anybody who wants to be creative in this day and age and do your own projects.
I'm Cherry Guidry with Cherry Blossoms. I design patterns, fabric, and I'm also an author with CNT Publishing. I draw everything on the computer and then I just give it my own twist. For my distributor, they called me and they said, you know, we have this machine, we'd love you to try. And I said, oh yes, sure, you know. And so they loaned it to me for 2 weeks. Within a week, sooner than that, I fell in love with it and I had to own it. So it's like, it's not going back. I want to buy this one. And sure enough, that was my first machine. You know, it speeds up the process. So you have, you know, like this quilt here, if it takes you 3 or 4 days to trace and cut, I can cut the whole thing in a matter of a few hours in the afternoon. You know, I can prepare my fabric and I can also run it through the machine. The software, the interface is fabulous. It's very easy to use, so user friendly. So the software is great. The tools themselves, the mats, they last forever, and the blades do too. So it's a great product. For quilting, you can also use the machine to cut out quilting designs. So if you're going to, you know, if you want to quilt around a little star or something, you could actually create like a stencil out of that. And you can even go to the Silhouette store and download some of those designs that work for that. So the possibilities for quilting is just crazy. The Silhouette is the greatest invention since the rotary cutter. It really has made that much of a difference for me in quilting.